Hello. I wanted to share my thoughts with everyone about a film I watched tonight called As Long as I'm Famous. So, for lovers of the Golden Age and perhaps New Hollywood, it's about now, it claims to be based on a true story, but to be honest, when I looked it up, I found everything regarding the relationship between these two to be quite circular. So it seems to be based on rumor. But anyway, it pertains to be about one summer where Sidney Lumet and Montgomery Clift have a kind of summer romance. Um, they are like the focus. I mean, they are the focus, but the whole it's an ensemble including uh, Hammerstein, not Rogers and Hammerstein, but anyway, it sort of revolves around the theatre. Um, I noticed on IMDb it got some pretty severe ratings from people. Um, so I sort of want to address that. I think one of the issues with the film is that, individually the scenes are actually all very poignant and well acted, and some of the scenes are very well shot. Not all of them, some of them are a little bit perfunctory. Um, but it's all very theatrical. Like it was accused of being very flowery, and it is. But I think it is It's a very postmodern film where it's basically very meta. It's referencing itself. The end of the film, it kind of pulls away from the artifice. It's often referencing the audience, so that it often breaks the fourth wall. Sometimes even looking directly into the camera. Um, but obviously, this is a film for someone like myself who's very interested in the relationship. Well, the early days of Montgomery Clift. This era where gay actors had to be closeted. So I think obviously that part rings very true. I'm not sure what the relationship between these two people were in real life, but it was definitely interesting to watch their dynamic. Um, the actor they've got to play Montgomery Clift, while it doesn't look 100% like him, um, definitely sort of gives off some of his atmosphere. Like he does have like the thick eyebrows, although the film pictures itself as mostly being in 1948, but it does sort of go to the ends of both of Sydney and Montgomery's lives. So you do sort of so for Montgomery, it's mostly at the time just after Red River and The Search had come out, and before the Heiress. That they're often talking about Montgomery preparing for the Heiress. So like Sydney is a teacher at the Actors Studio, and so it's all about him trying to act tough. But then these two fellows sort of form into a relationship. At the heart of the film, there is there is this moment where I guess happens to a lot of gay people who have someone who's bi-curious interested in them. So if you've seen The Threesome, if you've seen, I guess Threesome is the biggest reference, right? But basically, it's, the two guys want to be with each other, but the bi-curious one needs to have a woman in the middle in order to go through with it. So The most interesting part I found is actually towards the beginning, where the director is kind of suggesting um, that so one of the fellows has a psychotic break. So in their group, he's like a former boxer, and and then he has this argument with this fellow who's the Rogers, I think is his name. Anyway, um, uh, anyway, he ends up pretending to be like the guy is like having this psychotic break, thinking this is his father, and they have this argument, and the guy kind of goes along with the acting, and at the end he says like, "Oh, that was the best acting experience. Like it renewed my passion for acting," and I sort of wonder if the director is saying that is likening method acting, so the acting made famous from the actor's studio, as a kind of psychotic break, which it's an interesting thing to think about. Maybe for some actors they might be able to resonate with that. Although, I mean, it's definitely calling actors crazy. I mean, they are very sensitive. Like, I sort of wonder why maybe some people can't relate to the movie, because there's a lot of bad reviews, and I wonder if that's maybe because they don't know how sensitive actors can be, and how there really can be some very pretentious conversations between creatives, and there are a lot of pretentious conversations in this, but then that's kind of the intention. There is this sort of artifice and very meta part to this movie. My favourite part of the movie is the dynamic between Sid and Monty. So the scenes where they're together were my favourite. But I think it's all well acted. So I would say if you're a fan of the Golden Age, if you're a fan of Montgomery Clift, I forgot to say. So yeah, so the Heiress, and then you see right after Country. So after the accident, is sort of where they bookend Montgomery's story. So two films which I haven't actually seen. The Montgomery Clift films that I've seen are The Search, A Place in the Sun, and Suddenly Last Summer. So I need to expand and watch some more, like the From Here to Eternities and more. I had planned to make a what if about Montgomery Clift. I mean, he made The Misfits with Marilyn, and she said, he was the only person she met who was more messed up than she was, and it's sort of they didn't quite explore the depths of Montgomery Clift that I'd hoped, but yeah, I mean, I guess this is why I reshot my film, partly because I think one of the issues with this film is that all the scenes are very poignant, but there's nothing much to connect them. So, and I think really to as I've learnt through reshooting my film, I think audiences really need that connecting tissue, those to really, otherwise it just seems very like yeah, almost episodic, I guess. Which makes sense because the director is from television mostly. When you look at his IMDb career. Okay, so I do recommend the film. It's called As Long as I'm Famous, and I think while it may not be the best movie in the world, I think it does provide a lot of food for thought. So I'll link in the description. Please go and watch the trailer. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Au revoir.